Welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge, and today we have Morbius. It's Morbin time, people. This is the Spider Universe Sony produced Marvel Universe film, separate from the MCU technically, but still makes references to things in the MCU. Obviously, he fell under the umbrella of Spider-Man villains, Spider-Man characters that other studios could not touch. And so Sony, knowing that, one, we make a lot of money on those Spider-Man movies, especially now that we're doing them with Marvel, and it's tied into Marvel, and it's a single universe, but it's also a multiverse. Yeah, it's all this stuff that's happening at once. But we can't necessarily have Captain America or somebody showing up in Morbius, and we technically aren't going to put Spider-Man, because that would be super expensive to put him in a Morbius film. But you could do other stuff. And Morbius has always been this kind of anti-hero kind of thing over the years. He's been a villain to Spider-Man and to other Marvel characters in the comics, but he's the living vampire. He's not really a vampire, like passed down, bitten by a vampire, turned into a vampire, then biting other people to turn into vampires. No, this is a science vampire who still has to drink blood to survive. And he gets real spooky looking. He looks normal, and then he gets the craving, and he gets all CGI monster looking face, which is a cool look. It actually is well done, but it's so obviously 100% digital at every given chance. There's no physical prosthetic for him or Matt Smith, who plays Michael Morbius's best friend from childhood, who both have the same blood disease. Where they need to have transfusions at all time. But Michael grew up to be a scientist in hoping to cure that thing for him and his best friend and others around the world who have suffered from the same disease. That's the groundwork for this film. Whether it ties in closely to the original story, origin of Morbius, I don't recall, because I've read plenty of comics with him in it, but I'm not like an aficionado of his origin story. By the way, this is from 2022. It is an hour and 44 minutes long, stars Jared Leto, the man who wants to be in every nerdy universe by playing villain or a villain hero, an anti-hero, whatever. He's been the Joker for 5 minutes. He's been Morbius. He's going to be in Tron next year, I guess, or this year. I think it's this year. I'm not sure. He's going to be in a bunch of different things, but and a lot of people will just immediately dismiss this film because, oh, look, it's Jared Leto again. It's just a thing people have to do. I get the guy loves these universes. He loves being in comic. He loves comics. He loves sci-fi and fantasy and things like that. So yeah, if you're famous enough and you just go, please let me be in everything. Some people go, okay, sign my record. I don't know. I don't know what the deal is, but he is the lead in this. He gets to play an anti-hero. He's the kind of guy who Morbius could stand alongside somebody like Blade. They wouldn't like it too much, but and he could stand beside Spider-Man when he's not out of control. Part of Spider-Man's whole thing has always been about rehabilitation of his villains, in the comics especially, and we've seen this a little bit in his attempts to save the multiverse of villains that came to visit him during No Way Home. So Morbius is kind of one of those characters that, yeah, he's easily given over to evil, to doing bad things if he loses control. And could come in conflict with Spider-Man, but very often he's doing something that it's struggling against his darkest urges, and that's a good, compelling kind of story. It seems to be overpowered by the desire to make everything look digitally cool. Like when he moves from place to place, he's got this flowy, not sparkles, but it's just this flowy, sand-like element to his self. While it's all science vampire, it seems very magical at the same time. I don't know. And just so you know, I'm going to try to make this quick because I tried to summarize this in a previous attempt to do this, and I just stopped halfway through, and now I'm already 5 minutes into this. the reason why he's the living vampire and not just like a traditional vampire, bite bite. There's a point in comics back in the day where you couldn't do certain things because it was scary to parents, and comic books were evil, just like pinball. It made what was it? The Seduction of the Innocent. There was a book written about that. There's people who are just blamed all their problems, all the problems of society and children, on comic books, pinball, and well, eventually it became video games, and then we had the Satanic Panic in the 80s, whatever that was. But comic books were a medium in which you could tell all sorts of stories, and kids loved them. So you get monster stories, yeah, vampires, awesome. But they also have a certain other edge to them that you may not want the little kids reading. It could be scary. Kids weren't so easily scared. They worked in factories when they were 10. So, yeah, I think just reading a vampire comic book to chill out with a cigarette after work is probably, shot of whiskey. Yeah, but that's nothing to a 10-year-old back then. But, of course, eventually when Morbius was created, they had to get around the whole evil monster thing. What if he was made by science? And he has the same desire to drink blood, but it's for science. And he's always working to cure himself, trying to stop the bloodlust from taking over and making him do bad things, killing people to feed that desire. It's a good struggle. It's a good thing for an anti-hero to battle against. So Wolverine has his berserker rage. The Hulk obviously is the same kind of situation. It's a Jekyll and Hyde kind of thing where Bruce is trying to keep everything under control, but the Hulk eventually comes out, and while he is not evil in himself, he creates massive destruction. And I'm also just moving. I'm diverting my story way too much. I'm sorry, but in this story of Morbius, we get a guy who is sick. He finds a cure, and I know this is spoiling a lot, but it's pretty much what you get in the trailer. So I'm not going to tell you any of the twists and any of the big twists and turns, but it's kind of obvious that at some point he's got to have a villain. He's going to have somebody who's going to fight against him for this newfound power. Because not only does he have the ability now to be healthy, he's not barely standing, looking gaunt and sickly all the time. He can do flips and jumping, and he's very powerful and athletic, and man, it's pretty amazing. Because he did a genetic science thing with bats and human blood mixed. And it happened. Well, somebody else who has the same condition gets a little jealous. Oh, that might be Matt Smith, one of the 11th Doctor from Doctor Who, and he's done other stuff too. He's in Game of Thrones and stuff, but most of us know him as the 11th Doctor. He's in this, and of course he gets to play very much not the Doctor in this. He's a little obsessive about taking on this serum that helps make him healthy again and super strong, and he has no compunctions. He has no problem with biting people and killing them just for the sake of feeling powerful. Michael is not into that. He doesn't want to hurt people. So there's the entire main conflict. Beyond looking very it's actually a very cool look. It's very faithful to the comics. There's shots that are pretty much lifted from panels out of the comics of how Morbius looks. It's got some great color schemes, but it's very digital. Even if they're just standing there or sitting in a chair and he starts turning a little bit, yeah, it's gonna be digital. And all the fighting digital. Yeah, Spider-Man, but he's in full body suit. You don't see a face or anything else. That ends up being a little bit more believable, and they have a bigger budget. But when it comes to digital fighting, of them just flipping around and characters falling and fighting at the same time, and the camera moving all around them, that's the only way to do that is to do it digital. You can't keep moving him in and out of makeup, Matt in and out of makeup, constantly prosthetics to be the monsters. to be the vampiric selves. I understand that. It just it comes off as a little when there's a lot of digital effects these days, or we've been building to it forever. We had a lot of it in 1999 with Phantom Menace, but yeah, we just went out of control. Now every Disney film is a live action digitized remake of talking lions and bears. But in this, there's almost no scene in which Morbius is depicted as just Jared Leto in prosthetics and makeup that I can tell. That's a complaint for a lot of people. It's necessary for this film. It's got style. But does it have heart? Do you care about what Morbius wants? He has a sense of humor, which is nice. He has a woman. And they have a great rapport to a certain degree. They don't get to see a lot of it. It seems like, and then there's like two cops that are following Michael and realizing that he's supernaturally dangerous, and it doesn't faze them. And that's Tyrese Gibson and Al Madrigal. They're great, but I think a lot of it's forced. We're meant to just find them as guys who are just sort of snapping at each other all the time in a funny way, but sometimes it's just not funny. I don't know why. You've seen Tyrese in like Fast and the Furious, and I've seen Al Madrigal. I can't remember where I've seen him, but they're funny guys. Unfortunately, there's a lot just sort of packed into this, but it's also just really, really empty. It's not a movie that you have to see as part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe or any of its extended multiversal sisters. And yes, and I'm going to spoil this. Without spoiling the ending, I'm going to spoil the mid and end credit sequence. There are two, I believe. Well, there's two mid-credit sequences, actually. And they make no sense, they have no bearing on reality, and they'll never be followed up on. Kind of like anything in Venom. Like when basically the last Venom movie, which spoil that, I guess, because I don't think it's on Disney Plus yet. I don't think I watched it. I saw it in theaters because that's what I do. Maybe it was. I don't know. No, it wasn't. They wrapped everything up in the Venom universe by sort of really wrapping things up, leaving the door open to sort of somebody else maybe taking a role in a multiverse. But in Morbius here, for no apparent reason, due to the craziness going on in the multiversal No Way Home movie with all the Spider-Mans together, a crack appears in the sky and Michael Keaton shows up in a jail cell. In this reality, which is separate from the Spider-Man reality, I guess. And he's like, oh, this is different. I hope the food's better here. And then they go to more credits and they come back. And then we see Morbius again, and he's driving out to the desert. And he's meeting with Michael Keaton, who, he's not Batman, he's Adrian Toomes, he's the Vulture. And in a voiceover that Michael Keaton did, so he didn't have to put on the costume, and a digitized version of him is talking to Morbius, and Morbius is Jared Leto is just sort of talking to somebody. It's shot completely different times. They mention Spider-Man, and that's it. There's references to the Daily Bugle, there's references to Venom, there is references to all these different things. But it's never going to pay off. Even if it does, why? That's the thing. Like, to be able to, if the Russo brothers decide in Doomsday or any of the Avengers films, and when they bring everybody together to fight Doom or whatever happens in those films, are we gonna just like Morbius walk in? Hey, Vulture. Oh, there's Spider-Man. That's the guy we mentioned the other day. What are we doing now? It's just there's just no reason. Secret Wars would be the point where everything comes together and it should be a 6-hour film. No, no. Yeah. This stylistically, it looks good. It's got kind of a dark tone, mixed with a little bit of humor, but it ultimately, you don't care about anybody. And oh, by the way, there's a resurrection at the end of the film as well. So I'm not saying who, but I'm just saying, okay, all that, and there's a new mystery that's never going to be followed up on. I haven't seen Craven yet, but if there's a reference to something that's going to happen after the Craven movie is over, that's never going to get followed up on. Why would it? Maybe in a comic book spin-off that just ties all these threads together, or a Disney Plus series that just goes, hey, here's all the loose threads. There's a Disney, here you go, Kevin. Let's just wrap everything up. Even if you have to animate it, just wrap up all the loose ends by the time you finish with Secret Wars. Tie it all together. Let people do voiceovers. You don't need to put anybody in makeup. Just do that. Just so that all the nerds like myself could go, oh, that's why that happened. Oh, that happened, and there's the results. We need to know why the Vulture and Morbius are going to team up against Spider-Man. I don't know. Should you watch it if you want to see every single Marvel film? Yeah, but otherwise, does this give you a story, a new type of story? It's the same story. You've seen this type of story before. There's nothing new under the sun, but it's just done in this way. Sony, but you need to get out of the Marvel movie making business unless you're doing it with Kevin Feige in the MCU. Even the stuff that comes into the MCU these days isn't doing that great. The Thunderbolts didn't do great in the theaters. As much as I like that film, it didn't do great. There's no guarantee anymore that everything that Marvel puts out is going to be the best thing you saw at the theaters that month, that year. It's the way it used to be. Like, we felt like, oh my gosh, we were getting a present every single time we walked into the theater. It's not the case anymore. And that's not just from a box office standpoint. That is literally just... I'm never going to use the term superhero fatigue because that's not what these movies are. They're not just superhero films. They have superheroes in them. There's no limit to the types of stories that can be told or how they're told. But not every character needs a movie. Morbius might have been more interesting maybe as a limited series kind of thing. But Sony's not making those because they're not on Disney Plus. This is. But Sony's not making stuff for Disney Plus. And they're not giving up these characters unless they just decide to say, okay, hey, have Spider-Man and all the gang. Or just have all the gang, but not Spider-Man. Somebody's going to get poor and desperate at some point and start selling off things. Don't know who, but yeah. I talked way too much about Morbius. Or barely. So let's pick tomorrow's episode. 148. 148. Oh, okay. This is, wow. Yeah, very close to doing Spider-Man. But this is a series I've wanted to watch for a long time because a lot of people I know really like it. But yeah, we're going to watch at least one, maybe two episodes, depending on how much I need and the time I have. But we're going to be watching Star versus the Forces of Evil. Star versus the Forces of Evil is what we're watching next on the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. I'll see you back here tomorrow with that.